If you want to farm 6,198,000 runes per hour, here is the best rune farming method in Elden Ring and how to get there. This farm method works both online or offline, and you can do it solo. It's also still working after all the patches and downloadable content which has been added to the game. But since you can easily mess this up, here's a full step-by-step walkthrough and farming guide so you don't waste your time. But before you watch this video, just listen to me for the next 30 seconds so you know if this video is right for you. Because while this is regarded as the best rune farm in Elden Ring, it actually isn't the easiest early rune farm location that you could do at level 1 as a new player. There's actually another farming method where you can farm this dragon repeatedly for over 1 million runes. This can be done at level 1 and you don't need to kill anything to get there. So if you are a new player or you're starting a new character, I'd actually recommend that you first follow that guide, which I've linked in the description, then come back and watch this guide. So this guide starts here on the map at the first step resting spot in Limgrave, where you first start the game. Here you're going to find an NPC called Whitemask Varre, the guy who calls you maidenless. Now, if you're overly sensitive and you've already killed him, don't worry, you can still reach the farming location through a portal in the consecrated snowfield. But it's actually a late game area that requires you to kill multiple bosses to reach. So I'll be linking a separate guide below if you're in that situation. So we're going to talk to Whitemask and we're going to exhaust all of his dialogue, which just means we're going to talk to him repeatedly until he starts repeating himself. He's going to tell us to go to Stormvail Castle and defeat Godrick the Grafted so we can obtain his great rune. This is the only hard part about this guide, but if you leveled up watching my other video, it's going to be really easy for you. So next, from the first step resting point, we're going to head directly north along the road, past the church, and through the woods to the Gatehouse Ruin, where you unlock your Mount Torrent. I assume you already know how to get here, but from this point, we're going to be heading through the Gatehouse Ruin. We're going to run past all of the defenses, and then we're going to follow the path west up the hill. Now, if you need to slow down the gameplay, just use the settings to play the video at half speed, so it's easier for you to watch. But eventually, after following this path, we'll reach a resting point on the right-hand side here. After this resting point, we then need to head to the entrance of Stormvail Castle, which is just up the hill on the map here. So just follow the path up the hill and around to the castle gate. And once again, you can dodge all of the guards in this area very easily. Just watch out for the ballista, which sets off the explosive barrel we just ran past. As long as you dodge sharply to the right, you'll be fine. And now, just before we get to the entrance, you'll want to hop off your horse and then run down the corridor until you reach the next site of grace. So now to actually enter Stormvail Castle, we need to beat Magret the Fell Omen, which is kind of like the first sub-boss. Now you can make this into an extremely easy boss fight. All you need to do is summon the sorcerer Roger right here on the right before you enter. Even if you're offline, you can still do this. And then secondly, you can make use of your Spirit Wolf summon, which really overwhelms Magret, so he struggles to target you. And while he's being overwhelmed by this, you can just jump in and easily stagger him with power attacks, or the Uchikatana's special attack to knock him off balance. At that point, you can then do a critical attack, which he is actually vulnerable to. Now, if you still need a separate guide on how to beat him, let me know and I'll make one for you. But if you followed my last farming method, you'll already be pretty overpowered at this point. So once we've defeated him, we can then continue up the rampart and enter Stormvail Castle. Just rest at the side of Grace outside, and then we can enter through this hole in the wall, which leads you around the outside of the castle. This is a much easier path to take. Just drop off the cliff here and there's another site of grace before you head up the wooden stairs to the right. You can run past most of the enemies here because running is extremely overpowered. We're going to head inside the castle and we're going to take the door on the right hand side and then head up the stairs on the right. You can run past the explosive barrels if you're fast, or you can bait them to throw an explosive onto them first. If you also roll through those explosive barrels, you'll actually destroy them before they explode. I'd also recommend rolling through the boxes towards the wall so you don't fall to your death. Next, we're going to take out this guy sitting down and anybody that's following us. Then we can open this iron door and we can sneak into the left. Now, the first time you come in here, you'll have to 1v1 the knight, but if you die once, you can just sneak back inside and then take him down easily. Alternatively, you can just run inside and grab the rusty key at the back here instead of actually fighting him. But all we need from this room is that rusty key, and then we can go back outside the iron door and carry onwards. You'll see a green tapestry with a locked door down below. If we actually drop down, we can then open that door, and in front, you'll see a ladder which we can climb up. Once you're at the top of this ladder, just head to the left and then either roll or get stabbed in the back. Then we're going to go upstairs and we're going to head onto the roof. So just continue all the way to the top. If we head up this next flight of wooden stairs, we'll find a lever on the next level. And now if you just turn around and take the door to the left, you'll find the next site of grace. After resting here, we can head onwards and out the door, and if you jump into the crow, your legs will actually have iframes, so the explosive barrel will just go through you. It looks really weird, but it works very well. After you've avoided both those barrels, you can head down the stairs and go right onto the roof. Then we go through this stone tower and we turn right and then run across the next roof to the staircase and just climb down, or I believe you actually do take no damage from this height as well. After you go downstairs, head to the left and don't attack these guys like I did. Just run past them and go through the next room to the door on the opposite side. Next, we're going to go through this stone passageway and then we're going to take a right and carry on running into the next room. I'm just looting stuff as I go, like this treasure chest in the next room on the left here for the mimic headpiece. And then we're going to take the door to the right to the next room. And we're just going to roll off this ledge so we land on the ground floor in the basement. Then we're going to continue running along the right-hand wall into the next room where you'll see daylight across from you. So head outside, and at this point you can just roll or jump through these wooden barricades, which instantly destroys them. So don't try and navigate around them, just run through them. You can finally find the site of grace in this next room, up the stone stairs and to the left here. So after resting, we're going to head back out the door that we came in at, and we're going to follow the wall to the left. We're going to go up the stairs and we're going to run through the barricades again. We're actually heading now to the last boss we need to kill for this farming method. This is honestly the hardest part of the guide. So we're going to head left and we're going to follow the path upwards to the entrance to the boss fight with Godrick the Grafted. Now at this point you can buff your weapon, you can use spirit ashes for this fight, you can even go online and use co-op. There's actually also an NPC that you can summon offline as well. And again, if you need a guide for the boss, there's already tons of them out there, but if you want me to make one, let me know in the comments. But we will need to kill him because we need his great rune to continue the Whitemask Varre questline. There used to be a bug that you could use to skip it, but that got patched out. Anyway, once defeated, we need to unlock the next site of grace quickly. So head into his castle and then take a left at his giant throne and go down the spiral staircase. There's only actually one way to go here, so you can't get lost, and there's also no enemies who can kill you. Hop off this balcony just here and then follow the door outside and you'll find the next resting spot at the lake facing cliffs, just on the left hand side here, which you definitely want to unlock before proceeding to the next step just to make this guide faster. But for reference, we have now battled through Stormvail Castle and defeated both bosses until we reached the lake facing cliffs resting point just here on the map. So now we have the Great Rune, we need to go to the Roundtable Hold. And at this point, you've probably already unlocked it, but if you just rest at a point of grace, you'll see Melena will appear and she'll invite you to the Roundtable Hold. You can either say yes, or you can just select, yes, I want to go to the Roundtable Hold from the menu. But if you've already been there, you can just fast travel back by selecting the fast travel point at the bottom left corner of the map here. Once you arrive, you're going to go right and through the double doors, which will now be open because you have the Great Rune. And now we can talk to the two fingers. You just need to talk to them. You don't actually need to give them the Great Rune. Once you've done that, you're going to fast travel back to the first step resting point. And when you arrive, you'll see that Whitemask Varre has actually left. But there is a note where he was standing, which says you can find him in Lanira at the Rose Church. So to get to this location, we must now fast travel back to the lake facing cliff resting point, which we just unlocked earlier. Now from here, you're going to follow the dirt path down the hill and through the valley. Now you can obviously also reach this location by using the shortcut around Stormvail Castle, but since we needed to kill Godrick for the Great Rune, it was faster for us to use this resting point. So we're going to head down through the valley. You'll see a wooden palisade fort in front of you that you can just literally run through, and then you can go downwards and onwards into the lakes. And we can actually now unlock the map for this area if we just head north down the river, and you'll see a glowing stone tablet with a map at the foot of it. So go ahead and pick that up, and then you can head onwards down the river, and just on the right hand side you'll find a ruin with a site of grace for you to grab. And please do leave a like on this video if you are finding it helpful so far. We're now here at Lascar Ruins, and we need to go north just here on the map to this small sort of gravestone symbol. Put a beacon marker just here so you can easily see where you need to go to get that next map fragment. And then we'll leave the ruin and you'll see that blue beacon in the distance, and we're just going to run towards it. Just watch out for the giant lobster that has pretty fierce range attacks. You can just zigzag left and right to dodge it, but I didn't do that. So now we're going to pick up the map fragment here, and then we're going to rest at the site of grace. And now if we open our map, you can see that we can travel directly west to get to the Rose Church, where we can meet Whitemask Varre. So just put another beacon at that location so you can head towards the blue light in the sky and easily find where you're going. And then once we arrive, we're going to go ahead and speak to him, and he's going to ask you what you thought about the two fingers. And it is important that you press the first dialogue option to say that they didn't seem right. So speak to him again, and he will give you 5 festering bloody fingers and tell you to use them. However, if you look in your inventory and you're playing offline, you will not be able to use them. Don't worry though, after the recent patch, From Software has decided to add an offline method so we can continue this quest line, which I'll show you in a moment. So if you're actually online, it is much easier to do this part of the quest. You just need to press use finger, and then you'll be able to invade somebody else's game. You don't need to actually kill any of the players you invade. You can literally just go there and die, or even use an item to come back. And then you just need to repeat that process a total of 3 times, and you're done. You can skip ahead in the video to the next part of the quest line using the timestamps below. But if you're playing offline like me, this is what you need to do instead. And this is going to be helpful for your gameplay anyway, so it's not a waste of time. You're going to travel back to the Academy Gate Town resting point, which we unlocked earlier, and then you're going to open the map, and right in the north of the lake, just here, if you follow the broken bridge on the map, you'll see an NPC marker at the gatehouse. Zoom in, and just to the right you're going to place a beacon marker right here where I do. And now from that resting spot of grace where we're starting, just walk around the ruin and you'll see that beacon off in the distance to the north. Just head across the lake until you reach it. It's as simple as that. So eventually when you're getting closer, you'll see a mausoleum in the distance guarded by spectral warriors, which you can just ignore. Run past them, and right at the foot of the cliff, just to the right of the broken bridge, you'll see there's actually a updraft we can use to jump to the top of the cliffs. So go right ahead and use that, and then we're just going to head west where we'll find a resting point of grace right next to the gatehouse. After you've rested here, you can just head down the path of the Bellum Highway. And then if you open the map, we can actually carry on going down this path until we reach the end of it, just here on the map, and you can put another beacon there if you need to. So we're going to head down the path, just go around the ruins in front of you, and just ignore all the enemies here. After you past the next statue though, you will have trebuchets hurling boulders at you. So just zigzag left and right down this path until you reach the barricade. At that point, you can just proceed onwards up the unnecessarily large staircase to the grand lift of Dectus, and you'll find a resting point on the right hand side when you enter. Now you can't actually use the lift yet. You'll need to unlock it with 2 halves of the Dectus Medallion. So to reach the first one, you want to fast travel back to the Gatefront ruins, and then you want to go east down the path across the bridge and then north to the third church of Magret. And once you reach the church, from the resting point, just go through the bushes here, hop over this rock, and then you'll find a portal at the back in the bushes. And you can use that portal to reach an endgame area of Caelin. And once you arrive, just jump back on your mount and ride down the hill and across the bridge with the huge dragon on it. Now the dragon won't actually hit you if you sprint past it, so just ignore it. Once you get across that bridge, just follow the path to the Great Erd Tree, which is that massive golden tree you see in front of you. And then if you head off the path slightly to the left and go behind the base of the Great Erd Tree, I think it's actually the Minor Erd Tree, you'll find an updraft behind it, and you can use that to get on top of the cliffs behind the tree. And as soon as you get on top of those cliffs, you're going to see a big castle off in the distance. That is Fort Baroth Castle, which we need to head towards. Out the front of the castle is actually a resting spot, so make sure you rest there first in case you mess up this next bit. So just go up the stone stairs, enter the castle, and there's a dark room. Just go to the left and head towards the torchlight there. Then we're going to go up the staircase. Watch out for the bat's poison. Doesn't really matter if they do poison you though. And you'll see at the top of the staircase here is part of the medallion inside this chest. So once you've got that, we can go to the second location, which is really easy to reach. We're just going to fast travel back to the third church of Magret, and then we're going to take this road to the south, which goes through the woods all the way to the next fort on the south coast here. I've already placed a beacon so I know where I'm going, and now you're just going to follow where I go through the woods and along the path here. You really can't go wrong, just follow the path all the way to the fort. At the end of the path, we eventually reach Fort Height. And here we can grab a golden seed and then head into the castle. And I'm just using Torrent to avoid all of the enemies outside here. Just watch out for the explosive bomb throwers and then head onto the battlements up these wooden staircases where you will find a tower. And once again, if you climb to the top of that tower using the ladder inside, you're going to find another chest at the top with the other part of the Dectus medallion. So now we're done. But also, if you kill that knight who's running up that staircase behind you, you can actually unlock the Blood/Ash of War, which is pretty damn good. So now we're done, fast travel back to the Great Lift of Dectus, and then we can head up the stairs and activate the lift right here. And that's going to beam us up to the Altus Plateau. Now, alternatively, you could have gone through a cave, killed a boss, and then eventually worked your way to the top, but it's actually much faster and easier to do what I just told you to do. So from the exit of the lift, we're going to open our map and we're going to follow the path straight ahead. Just put a marker over here. Then we're going to hop on our horse and head down that path towards the marker in the distance. And you'll actually find a resting spot of grace just on the right hand side in the trees here. So make sure you grab that. And then once it's activated, go back to the path and carry on heading north. You will actually come across a map fragment just up here on the left. So make sure you grab that. And And once you have it, you can open the map, and if you keep following the path, you'll actually reach a broken bridge with an NPC marker on it. This is actually where we're going. So just put another beacon on it and then carry on following the path until you reach that broken bridge. I really hope someone's finding this walkthrough helpful, because my god, it is taking a while for me to make it. Once you reach the broken bridge, you can rest at the site of grace, and then you can use the portal just on the right here to actually teleport you to the other side of this broken bridge. And now if you look at your map, we're on the other side of the bridge. And we need to go south to this ruin just over here on the map. I'm going to place another beacon there. Then I'm going to turn around and head down the cliff here. If you actually hop off this cliff, you can grab the site of grace, which is under the bridge that we were just on top of. And then after we've got that, we can head down this path and into the woods. If we just hop off this next cliff without taking any damage, you can then see the ruin right ahead of us in the distance. And there's actually a Shrine of Marika that you can activate so you can respawn it in case you die, because there are a few bloodhounds that try and kill you, but you can see that we are now at the Wreath Blood Ruins. And it's here, right in this little ruin, where we find a red summon sign that we can use to invade an NPC who counts as an offline PvP option. This was basically added to the game so players could finish the Whitemask Varre quest. So invade this NPC using one of these bloody fingers, and this guy is honestly just a nightmare. He has this really annoying roll power attack, which absolutely baits me into rolling too early, so he then hits me with his power attack. Luckily though, you don't need to kill him. You can just invade him 3 times and die to him 3 times to complete the quest. But if you actually do kill him, it is worth it because you get his unique weapon, the Great Stars Club, which has a very powerful moveset, so I'd actually recommend killing him. Don't worry if you don't, you can come back here later. Anyway, once you've invaded him 3 times, you can now return to the middle of the lake at Academy Gate Resting Point. And then we can just go west again to the Rose Church to meet with Whitemask Varre again. I'm going to cut that part of the video out because I assume you know where to go now. Once you arrive, he's actually going to offer to anoint you. So make sure you say yes, it's the top dialogue option. He will then give you a white cloth and tell you that you must soak it in the blood of a maiden. And there are actually a few maidens that you can use for this, but I recommend using one that's already dead so you don't break any quest lines. And the closest and easiest one to get to is right here on the map. So we're going to fast travel back to the Grand Lift of Dectus, north of the lake, just here, which we unlocked earlier. Turn around and head back to the entrance, go down the stairs, and then go left. And then follow the dirt path ahead of you up the hill. Now there's actually a Tower of Madness here that we need to hide from in this next section. If the tower can see you, it will increase your madness meter. But if you hide behind rocks or bushes, recover. So just do exactly what I do. I'm using Torrent to run from cover to cover to get past the tower. And you can hug the cliff at the foot of the tower, and you can just then head through the valley and then use the bushes around the edges of the castle to the south here to avoid the tower's gate. So this big wall on our right hand side is actually the entrance to the Frenzied Flame village. So enter the village and just follow where I go, right to the back, and then run past the guards and loop around to the right and go up the hill. Follow the path all the way to the church at the top, where you'll get invaded if it's your first time here. But don't worry, you can actually just continue running, go straight to the back of the church where you'll find a Site of Grace, which you can still activate in case you die. And just left of the Site of Grace, you'll actually find a dead maiden. You can loot for an armor set, and then if you activate her again, just say yes to soaking the white cloth in her blood. So now we've done that objective, we need to fast travel back to the Rose Church and once again speak with Whitemask Varre. He'll then congratulate you and ask for your hand. Obviously you're going to give it to him, and that's going to unlock a bloody finger for unlimited invade potential. And then if you talk to him again, he will give you the Pureblood Knight's Medal. And this is the most important thing we came here for because it allows us to teleport into Mohgwyn's Palace. It will teleport us into the Mohgwyn Dynasty Mausoleum. And once you arrive, you can head up the stairs and just to the right here, you'll find a body that has a map fragment for the entire area. And then if you go to the left, there's actually a Site of Grace. And we're almost at the farming spot. My God, it's almost over. So now open your map and we're heading just around the top here, put one marker at the top of this valley, and then we're going to go southeast through the Blood Lake, where you can put another marker at the tight valley, and then the last one just to the south, and that is the farming location. So now we just head down the steps and go towards our marker, which is through the woods ahead. Hugging this right-hand wall, we can then just carry on running towards the Blood Lake with a pillar right in front of you to hopefully avoid the spells getting fired at your behind. Then we're going to carry on south, hugging the left-hand wall. And you can actually call Torrent at this point to ride up the hill and avoid all the enemies here really easily. Once you reach the top of that hill, you're going to find the Site of Grace farming spot. This is where it's located on the map, and now you can fast travel back and forth whenever you want. All you're going to need to use this farming spot is a bow and arrow, and you can buy a bow and arrow from the nomadic merchant located right here on the map, just near the coastal cave in Limgrave, if for some reason you don't have bow and arrows yet. Now the farming method itself has no risk, but listen if you want to be as efficient as possible. So firstly, if you look off the cliff, you'll see a big bird. If you fire an arrow at that big bird through the tree there, it's going to aggro and then it's going to run off that cliff, giving you 11,000 runes. We'll increase that in a moment. But now, if you rest at the Site of Grace after it dies, the bird is going to respawn, and you can do this repeatedly. That is the farming method. But it's possible to actually shoot the bird, and then as soon as you see it falling off that cliff, if you just run back and hit the resting spot and time it right, you'll still get the runes for killing it. And the reason why this is good is because it saves the animation time it takes for you to rest, making the farming method even faster. And once you get used to doing that, it's possible to kill that bird and reset it once every 10 seconds. Once you get used to placing the arrow in the right point so it hits the bird, which will spawn in the same place every time. But we can actually boost the rune farming method even further by increasing our rune gain by another 50% if you get these two items. Firstly, you need the Golden Scarab. This is a talisman that can be equipped to increase the runes you obtain by 20%. I've already made a video on how to get this, link down below in the description, and compared to this video, it's going to be really easy to follow. Secondly, you can get the Golden Pickled Falfa, which boosts your rune gain by 30% for 3 minutes. It also doesn't reset each time you rest at a Site of Grace. And I have a guide on how to farm an unlimited amount of that consumable and also craft it, linked down below in the description. And now, obviously, if you have that Golden Scarab equipped and then you use your Golden Pickled Falfoot, you're going to have a 50% boost to the rune gain you get. You'll be getting 17,219 runes every 10 seconds just for killing this bird. This means that if you farm this location for 1 hour, you would get 6,198,840 runes per hour. And that's why this is the best rune farming method in Elden Ring. But what about the best Elden Ring build? Now you have all these runes, you obviously want to find the best character build and where you should be investing all of these runes that you're farming. So that's going to be the next video. You can check it out just here and I will see you there. Have a lovely day.